Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to another recommendations video. And today is one that I've had requested in my video rec form. It's also one that I greatly love. I love the books in this trope so much. Now there is quite a variety and way to go when someone says teach me romances. Usually it means like two or three different things. One, it means like teach me sex at all, like I'm a virgin or I've had really bad sex before or I don't know what good sex is, so there's that. And that is a few of these. There's also teach me as in I've had sex before but we're learning BDSM together. That is a couple of these that fit into it. And then there's teach me to flirt, teach me to be good at relationships, teach me love, those kind of things. So those are kind of like the three categories these fall into, and I have them all mixed together for this video, but those are kind of what I'm going for, the way that I decided to take this when putting these together, for the theme of teach me. And one of the ones I wanted to start with is actually a book that isn't out yet, but you can pre-order it. I'll put the link down below. And that one is The Duchess Takes a Husband by Harper St. George. So I just read this book recently. I read the arc a little earlier than I normally read arcs, but I was really anticipating this. This is Camille and Jacob. And now Camille was recently widowed. She was in an emotionally abusive relationship, was not treated well by her husband. He wanted her American money, but he didn't want her. He couldn't give two shits about her, actually, and he was very demeaning, and he controlled her by controlling her allowance, keeping her away from her friends. Of course, he could sleep with her whenever he wanted because she was his bride, and she just lost her confidence, lost her sparkle being married to him. And now she's a widow. She has a lot more freedom as a widow, and she wants to learn about pleasure. And so she's tried a couple of times to be with men since then, but it hasn't been the right person and it hasn't been a great scenario for her. So her friends, in her friend circle, there's someone named Jacob. He is the illegitimate half brother of one of her people in her circle, and she just thinks he is really charming and fun and has his way with the ladies, and she thinks that he could be a good person to help her do this. And so she actually propositions him and asks him to have sex with her and kind of have an affair with her. And that takes a lot of courage for her to do that, and he is very impressed, but he's also like, that would ruin a lot because when we stop sleeping together, it would be awkward or it would be this. And so she's very embarrassed, but they keep running into each other, and it makes him kind of rethink his thoughts on it. And I just thought it was really beautiful because once they're together, she has some trauma, of course, with previous sexual experiences. And so it deals a lot with him letting her be in control. Not a fully BDSM scenario, be in control of me, but very much subduing himself if needed or letting her lead, and then, letting her explore and helping her to feel what her body is feeling and go with it to help her, achieve pleasure. And it was really beautiful. It was sweet. And I really enjoyed watching Camille take her power back and discover who she's meant to be. And I thought that was really beautiful to witness. I really liked it. Then we go right to one of the darkest ones where teach me means what it means, and that is Dark Notes by Pam Godwin. This has to come up on a teach me thing. And granted, this is actually the only one on here that actually involves a teacher, because I was I'm not going to take teach me with the student teacher. I've made that video a couple times before. Maybe I'll link it up here for you if you want student teacher recs. I mean, those are fantastic. But this one involves Ivory and Emmerich. Emmerich is her piano teacher at a very prestigious music school, and Ivory is basically a very poor, low-income student who doesn't fit in with anyone else there. She's too pretty for the girls to want to be her friend, and the boys all just want to get something from her because she very much looks like a woman while a lot of the other girls look like girls, and she actually hates that about herself. She hates it because her body and her looks have only brought her pain. So when the girls in this school, you know, want to call her a slut, want to demean her, she's like, if you only knew what this body like does to me. She is very much been mistreated and raped by multiple men and people in her life, including her brother's best friend, who has been R-ing her since she was like 15 years old, both anally and vaginally, and doing horrible things to her, and she has no one to believe her. She also has had to trade sexual favors for money. I mean, basically she was whoring herself out to the rich boys at school so that she can eat and pay the bills because her mother is not doing those things. And then Emmerich comes to this school, and he's kind of coming there in disgrace because he messed up he messed up at a previous school with a coworker. Things didn't go well. And so he's kind of going to this school in a bit of disgrace, but also he is a really big asset to this school for sure. And he is a dominant, and he sees aspects in Ivory that are submissive, and he feels really drawn to her. And he's like, no, this is jailbait. This is not happening. This is wrong. But the more that he is paying attention to her, he sees all these things that are happening to her that are wrong, and he just can't help getting pulled into them and wanting better for her than she has ever thought to think for herself. And part of that involves BDSM and teaching her the rules of it and the power that's in it for her. And this was the first, I always bring this up, this was the very first book that it clicked for me, the power of a safe word and the power that a submissive can have, even when, you know, it would seem like the dominant is in charge, and the relationship that a dominant and sub can have and how it can be so healthy and good for them, even if we're in a taboo scenario with a student teacher. This book is beautiful. I freaking love it. Hold on. I have a picture from it because of, I just love them. I love them so much. All right. Then we have Sinner by Sierra Simone. This one, there's not too much blather on about this one, okay? This one is our heroine is going to become a nun, and literally her like mother superior is like, you need to experience some things so you know what you're giving up. So the mother superior literally is giving her the go-ahead to go have sex and know what she is giving up before she decides to give herself to the Lord. So she looks to one of her brother's friends, Sean. I believe this one is Sean. I'm not a good man. I think this is Sean. It just went out of my brain. But yes. And asked him to do all the dirty things with her. Teach her all the dirty things. And then at the end of a certain amount of time, she's going to take her holy orders and become a nun. And he's like, yes, I want to have all these crazy, sexy things and do these with her. But what he doesn't expect is that he's going to fall in love with her. And what's going to happen when she's going to give herself to the Lord at the end of it. But I love this. So this is just a good old, like, let's try all the things. Let me teach you all the dirty things and show you everything you might be giving up by doing that. So it's a fun time, y'all. It's a fun time. Then this one falls into the category of teach me sex at all. And that is Love in the Wild by Emma Castle. I recently had just done a giveaway with this one for my birthday month, and it reminded me how much I love this. But I mean, this one, we have our Tarzan character. He's called Thorn in this one. This is also the hero that was like, this model is like on the cover of like 50 million books in 2019, 2020. Like, he's on alien books, he's on sci-fi books, he's on contemporary, he's on all the covers, you know. But this is, yeah, a Tarzan retelling, and our hero, there was an accident when he was very little. He lost his parents. He's been raised in the jungle, and our heroine now is going to that like same jungle to be a photographer, and she ends up like her group gets attacked by poachers or like criminals in the area who don't want anyone finding out about their operations, and Thorne sweeps in and he's able to rescue her. And they have a crazy sexual attraction, and I mean, obviously he's never been with a woman before, and he's never had anyone who's like him that he could do that with. And so she kind of gets to teach her hunky man like how to do it, and it's good. It's really good. It's very sweet. It's very sweet as well. Then we have a couple more. We have two more that are BDSM teach me ones here. So we have Savage Tracker by Maggie Cole. This one is a very dark, very heart-wrenching. This is my favorite Maggie Cole. It stands out for me. This was a 6-star book from 2021. I absolutely adore it. I have a signed copy of this one too. But this one is about Selena and Obrecht, and Selena was in a long relationship. I mean, she was married to this man who, it was a master-slave relationship, but it was slavery legitimately because she didn't consent to any of it. And she's been able to get out of this marriage, but she does not feel safe. She doesn't have anyone to go back to because her family disowned her when she married this man and moved to America. She's been kept so isolated in her imprisonment that she feels very helpless, and she doesn't like that. So the Ivanovs have her in one of their condos because they have tried to like legitimize themselves from the mafia quite a bit, with some success, some not, you know. And so Obrecht is one of the cousins and brothers, and so he also stays in this condo complex, and so he's been keeping an eye on her and helping her with some home projects when she's needed them. And they'll also meet each other, like they see each other at the pool or the roof sometimes, and he notices that she has submissive tendencies. And the thing that is bringing Selena a lot of shame is that she still craves some of the submission, and she can't understand why she does, because she didn't want the things that her ex had done to her because she wasn't consenting to them. But there are still things about it that she feels drawn to, and so she feels a lot of guilt about that. But she starts looking into BDSM clubs to see if maybe going to one where it is consensual would be a good choice. But the thing is, her head is very messed up. Like, she doesn't understand the consensual part of it. Like, she's expecting to go to one of these and let a dom just like do whatever they want to her, and that it's going to fulfill her in a certain way. And Obrecht sees this and he's like, that is so dangerous. Don't do that. Like, you need to learn what you're worth and like what your control is. So he also suggests a therapist to her, which I love. I love that therapy is brought into this. And when she asks him to teach her BDSM, he's like, well, I can't be your dom or your long-term partner. I don't do that. But I would be your top, and I will help teach you things. But of course, he's not going to be able to let her go. Who does he think? So I love that. Then, of course, we have to show praise, because who is doing a teach me better than Daddy Emerson with Charlie's? So this one is an ex's dad romance. Everybody knows what this is. This is my beautiful copy that I got from Cover to Cover, one of the hardback ones. Still better than the new covers that are coming, but anyway, did I say that? I did say that. Anyway, I absolutely adore this book. I was lucky enough to read an arc of this one, and I just have loved seeing all of the accolades that this book has received. The film rights have been optioned. I don't know how they're going to do that. It always makes me nervous about like who is optioning the films, because I'm just saying, but it's very exciting for Sarah Kate, and that is not her fault to a certain degree. What happens with that? Because make your coin off your wonderful books. But anyway, I digress into the way that I think Hollywood takes advantage of romance books. But anyway, so yeah, this one is an ex's dad. Charlie goes to his house to receive, she needs to get her rent like her part of the deposit back. And she walks in on a scenario where Emerson thinks that she is a submissive who's been sent to him for the day, so he tells her to kneel, and she can't help it. She does. And when he finds out who she is and that she's kneeling in front of him, he is horribly embarrassed, and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I did that to you. But the fire's already been lit, and now she is very intrigued by him and by it all. So when he ends up offering her a job, he's very much just doing that because he feels guilty and doesn't want her to tell his son about it. But she's very intrigued, and she definitely continues to tempt him. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to teach you about all this, but we're not going to have sex. But we'll teach you about it, because there are aspects of BDSM that don't have anything to do with sex. They just have to do with the trade in power and the, release you can get from following orders and feeling and getting praise for doing it. And so that's kind of where this starts. But again, of course, we're not going to not touch each other. Come on. We know it. All right, then I have a couple others in here. There is Make Me Bad by R.S. Gray. This one, it's been a long time since I've read this one, but I know that this one, it's literally like a bad boy in town and this good girl, and she's kind of going on a journey to discover her wild side, and so they end up doing a lot of fun. So he's teaching her how to be bad. So it isn't even necessarily with sex in this one. That just, of course, comes along with the territory as we go. As they're doing these different bad things together. I think they're like pretty low scale bad things, but it's just her getting to take a walk on the wild side for a little bit. So I thought it was cute and bring it up as kind of a lighter option for some of these. Then there is The Roommate by Rosie Danan. This is one I haven't brought up in a long time, and I saw that a new book by Rosie Danan has just been announced. I don't think it's in this series, though. I'll have to look into it. I could be totally wrong about it. But The Roommate is, our heroine ends up as a roommate of a porn star, and she doesn't understand, why his super fantastic tongue is so well loved, and his skill, why, it's such a big deal. And she definitely has some conservative views as well that are this is a dirty job that you do, or it's not a real thing. And there are a couple experiences in this book, granted, too few of them, but there's an experience where she's literally show me what the big deal is. And he's like, okay, I will. And, it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot. So, this book isn't a favorite, because I do think that because it's traditionally published, there wasn't enough done with the fact that she's living with a porn star. There wasn't enough done with it, okay? But I think it's a really good one for this trope, and it fits. And then another one I want to mention is the Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is another one this one's traditionally published, but I think this one does do a really good job with it. And we have Stella, our heroine, who is neurodivergent and doesn't understand what the big deal is about sex, and so she hires an escort to show her, and he is kind of hesitant about doing that because I remember him being kind of hesitant, and her being I just want someone to show me what I'm missing out on. And so hiring you seemed like the safest and smartest thing to do. And so he's like, okay, let's do this. So this one is really beautiful. I love this couple, and it's still my favorite book by Helen Huang of all of them. And I love how the things that he teaches her and what it's like for her to start feeling these feelings, both physically and emotionally, that she never thought that she could. She wasn't sure if she had the capacity to or not. So I loved that. And then the last one I wanted to mention is another one where it's a contemporary. This one's a friends to lovers. And when friends end up having sex deals is some of my favorite things to read. So this one is Blindsided by Amy Dawes. And this one is our beautiful plus size heroine has a best friend who's a rugby player, and he's super hunky, and he's Scottish, and it's beautiful. Is he Scottish? Yeah, he's Scottish. Yep. And she is, she's turning 30 and she's still a virgin. There's something with that scenario. And he agrees to teach her sex, and they're best friends, and they're risking it all for some sexy time. And boy, do they. This one had some really beautiful moments in it, even though it is not a perfect book. It's one of my favorite Amy Dawes that I've read, and I really enjoy the audiobook for this also. Really good. So anyway, there you go. Those are 10 Teach Me romances with all different kinds of things being taught. Let me know some of your favorites down below. This one was really hard to look them up because you can look up things like sex lessons is something to look up. You can look up, again, there might be straight up like student-teacher romances, and also some like love lessons is another name there is, like, but it was just really hard to find this for the Teach Me trope. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you like it and subscribe to the channel. I put up new rec videos weekly, usually 1 or 2 of them, and I have over 100 recommendation videos that you can check out in a playlist. If there is a trope out there, I've probably done a video for it. If I haven't, please follow the link down below that says recommend a video to me, and I have a video recommendation form where you can suggest one if I haven't done one. So thank you so much for watching, friends, and I'll see you next time.